Hello students, welcome to the fifth video of online economics class started by the Northeast Junior College Authority. I hope you all are healthy and safe. Well, so far we have discussed a lot of concepts from the very first chapter of the group A of our HS second year economics syllabus, which is the introduction chapter. And today we will talk about some more concepts from the chapter 1 itself. Well, before going into today's video, let me go a little bit backwards to our last video where we have discussed the scarcity, because I am starting from that point onwards, because all these things we will talk about in today's video is basically connected with that particular concept, which is scarcity. So let's start. So I am just writing at first the scarcity. It is a situation when human demands, change that human, when our demands exceeds the available supply of resources, Alternatively, it means whenever human wants, let me frame it in another way, whenever available resources to satisfy human wants, available resources with which to satisfy our wants falls short of our demands a situation of scarcity arises. So this is basically the scarcity, that whenever our demand, that means our wants, falls short of all those things, means all those resources, I want to mean all those things which are required to satisfy our wants, that simply means the resources exceeds the available resources, a situation of scarcity arises. That means whenever these resources with which we will satisfy our wants falls short or become lesser in comparison with our demand, our wants, that is simply the situation of scarcity. Well, so this is a simple scarcity thing. So let's now get into today's topic. This is the economic problem. This is the first thing we will discuss today. Economic problem. Well, in scarcity, we have just now seen that whenever the resources becomes lesser or resources falls short in comparison to our demands or in comparison to our existing human needs, existing human wants, a situation of scarcity arises. So economic problem is directly related to this concept of scarcity, that if resources are limited and human wants are unlimited, then can we produce everything what we want? Obviously, no, we cannot produce everything what we want, because of the simple fact that to satisfy our wants, we need to produce the various goods and services, and goods and services will be produced with the help of what? With the help of resources itself. And now the resources are not in abundant quantity, they are in limited number, they are in limited quantity, they are not abundant, they are not enough so that we can fulfill all of our needs, all of our wants, all of our wishes, or whatever you want to put it. So as resources are limited, this simply will leave a problem that how to fulfill all our wants. It is a simple common conceptualization. I hope you can visualize that in your mind, that you have so many wants but so many things, so little thing you have. Say for example the money itself. Money is also a resource, so I am just taking this money to make this economic problem a bit simplified. So you have a sum of money, some amount of money, some XYZ amount of money, XYZ amount of money, that could be any amount. So with that amount, say suppose this is 10 lakh. Okay, the figure may seem very astonishing. Okay, you have 10 lakh amount of 10 lakh rupees. Okay, fine. Okay, I am giving you even more, 10 lakh dollars. So even if you have 10 lakh dollars, for now I am assuming that yes, it is a lot of money, but just think about the wants you have in your mind, whether you can satisfy all of that want with that 10 lakh dollars. Maybe for a particular period of time you may satisfy all of your wants, you may, but in the next period you will think that, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that too. Okay, I need to buy that too. He has that thing, so I want that too. I want a Bangalore, I want this, and I want that. I want a Mercedes, I want a F1 Formula 1 supercar, whatever. The list will go enormous and enormous, and a time will come, this 10 lakh amount will drop to 0, and at that point what will happen? You will be still counting your wants, that you want this and that and this and that, but the money that was in your hand, which was $10 lakh, was gone. So now I hope you can visualize the problem, that even if we have for a particular period of time, even we have a big amount of resources, so eventually that will come to 0, and whatever may be the situation arises, we will always find that compared to our demand, compared to our needs, for a particular period of time we may satisfy a particular need, we may satisfy something, but for a whole lifetime period, unless and until we put our last breath, we cannot end up needing our whatever we want. We will always think of something that we want this, we want that, unless and until we breathe out our last breath. So till that point onwards, human wants will be always go on expanding and expanding and expanding. A person at the last stage who is about to die, he could be in medical care. At that time also he has so much medical need. He need to be more in ICU, more of medicines, more of doctors and this and that. So maybe he has more of medical care, more need of medical care, but the money in his pocket or the money in his family's pocket is limited. They cannot bear all those charges, and even they can bear up, they will always find that okay, this money is falling short to save that person. So in whatever the situation may come up, we will always find that compared to our demand, compared to our needs, the resources which we will need, which we will require to satisfy our demand is always getting less. And with that thing, basically the problem arises that how to use that particular resource, maybe this $10 lakh, in its best possible way. I hope you students can remember one of a topic that we discussed later portion of our last video, which was the economization of resource. So scarcity and economization of resource. Okay, economization of resource means using a resource optimally. So scarcity and economization of resource clubbing together actually forming this economic problem. So let me write the economic problem, you will get it. As resources are limited, we cannot satisfy all of our want. Hence we need to make a choice in selecting between the alternative uses of resource stone. This problem of making choice, is called the economic problem or the problem of choice. I hope this definition may clear up your views. You can write that also, you can note it also, you can pause. Better you do one thing, you pause this video right here and just pop up your screen a little bit, like squeezing up, not squeezing up, sorry, actually you need to expand it a bit more, and it will get magnified, or you may take a screenshot and you can write it afterwards also. There are so many options. We are all living in a modern era, and yeah, that thing actually I can refer to this our economic problem. Say you have so much limited time, and you need to capture all those informations given in this video, and at the same time you need to write also, and hence what you will do, you will try to see whatever the best possible ways. You may take a screenshot. This is one kind of alternative. So this is a kind of this scarcity. You have a scarcity of time, you have so many works to do at the same time. You need to watch the video, and so on and so forth. You need to capture the information also. So what to do? So as a result, you need to make a choice in selecting alternative use of this resource. You have this resource in your hand which you are holding. Maybe this could be a mobile phone, or you may be watching this in laptop or a computer. So anyways, the point is very simple actually, that as resources are, just hold it a bit, yeah, as resources are scarce, we cannot produce everything what we want. As a result, we cannot satisfy all of our want. So if we cannot satisfy all of our want, what we need to do? And we know that resources have so many alternative uses. Now we need to select in between the alternative uses of resources. Which one we want to get fulfilled at first. Say for example, what should I say? Okay, say for example petrol. Petrol has a number of uses. Petrol can be used in a generator also, or it could be used in a car, it could be used in a auto rickshaw, or so many things. Now petrol doesn't have a one single use, and we want to make the best use of petrol. Now what to do? Where we should put petrol in? And then a question comes, how much we should use that petrol. So all these things are kind of a big question mark situation. So a question mark situation is directly related to a problem kind of situation. So with this we can define basically the economic problem, that as we have so many wants and resources are limited, we cannot have everything what we want. Then and then we need to make a clear-cut justification, or need to make a clear-cut mindset of that how to put resources in its best possible way, so that we can achieve the economization of resource. That means we can use the particular resource in its best way. And this problem of making choice means making choice in selecting alternative use of resource, and this choice thing is basically known as the economic problem, or the problem of trust, like what to do, what not to do, what to do with this resource, what not to do with resource, where we should put this resource, and what to do and what not to do. So all these things are basically related to a problem kind of situation, and this problematic situation is basically known as the economic problem, which is directly related to resource, and resources are scarce. Why they are scarce? Because they are falling short in comparison to our demand, or in comparison to our human wants. Hence we need to make a choice in selecting between alternative use of resource, and this making choice problem, that what to do and what not to do, this choice problem is basically known as the economic problem, or it is referred to as the problem of choice. Economic problem and problem of choice are the same thing, no difference at all. Or this could be referred to as problem of scarcity also. Since there is scarcity, see here it is actually mentioned, it is the problem of scarcity. Okay, I am writing here also, or the problem of scarcity, or the problem of scarcity. Because resources are limited, we cannot satisfy all we want, and as a result we need to choose in between alternative use of resource, and this is basically known as the problem of scarcity or economic problem or the problem of choice. There are three popular names of this problem: economic problem, which is same as the problem of choice, which is same as the problem of scarcity. Well, I hope you have got this simple concept, the economic problem. Now let's step a bit further and let's talk about the causes of economic problem. I am wiping this upward portion. If you need this upward portion, you can go a little bit backwards, pause the video, and may take a screenshot or may note it down in your copy. You have so many alternatives in your hand, you need to choose now. Okay, so let's go into the reasons or causes. Okay, reasons or causes. Economic. Okay, I'm just writing it short. Okay, wrong. It's the same one. Just don't get confused. I'm just, for simplicity, I'm just writing economic problem. So, what could be the reasons of this economic problem? So, basically, there are three reasons, and all of the three reasons can be found out this simple definitions. The first reason is that resources are limited. Okay, limited resources. Limited resource. So this is the first cause of this economic problem, or first reason for the first reason for which economic problem crops up, that it is the limited resource. As resources are limited, they are not abundant, so we cannot satisfy all of our wants, which is leaving us to make a choice in selecting between alternative uses, and this is basically the economic problem, and hence we can say that the limited amount of resource is one of the root cause of this economic problem. The next one is that resources have alternative use. Resources have alternative uses. As resources have alternative uses, now it basically leading us to a problematic situation, like in which use we should put that particular resource, whether we should use this resource in these things or that thing. That kind of situation is getting arise, and hence we need to make a choice that resource, this particular resource, will be put into which use? This use or that use, or we can find there is some another use too. So now which use we should put that particular resource in? So a choice kind of situation arises that which use we should choose. So hence this economic problem is coming up. And finally, a big reason is that human wants are unlimited. So as human wants are unlimited, okay, just think it in a different way. If human wants were limited, there wouldn't be any problem of scarcity. There wouldn't be any problem of choice, because if human wants were limited, just okay, I need this and I can spend my lifetime with that. If this was the situation, then there wouldn't be any economic problem, or there wouldn't be any scarcity. First of all, there wouldn't be any scarcity, and if there was no scarcity, then there wouldn't be any economic problem, to be specific. So hence, as there is limited resources and human wants are unlimited, we definitely cannot satisfy everything, because we need resources to satisfy all of our wants, and we find that the resources which we want to satisfy our wants are limited. Hence we cannot satisfy everything, every single thing what we want. We may satisfy a particular want, but what about the all other wants we have back in our mind? What to do with all those wants? So we cannot satisfy all of our wants. So well students, this is the simple thing, that this is the economic problem and the reasons for this economic problem. So I hope you got this, the economic problem and the reasons of economic problem. Okay, finally we will discuss today the last topic for today's video, which is the central problem of an economy. Okay. So the central problem of an economy is again gets connected to this economic problem. Well, this economic problem is not only faced by we the people, it is also faced by an economy also, and not only one economy. All of the economies of this world faces this problem, that ultimately an economy is run by a government or run by the state. We have discussed the three types of economy: mixed economy, socialist economy and capitalist economy. Whatever may be the economy it is, in that economy there is also living this problem of choice. The problem of choice is also there. If you have that problem of choice in your mind, how can I not be that problem of choice in my mind? And how cannot be this into this nation's mind, into this economics mind? And how come this cannot be into all of these economies? So this economic problem is not only associated to a particular person, it is also associated to a particular country also. Not a particular country to be specific, it is associated with all of the countries of this world, all of the economies of this world. That as resources are limited, we cannot satisfy everything, and hence we need to make a choice in between selecting alternative use of resource. So this making choice is known as the economic problem. Okay, now you need to modify this part. This problem of making choice by all the economies is called the economic problem. It's called the is the central problem of economy. Is the central problem of an economy. The central problem of an economy. Okay, fine. And at the same time, Professor Samuelson has defined it as what, how, and for whom to produce. So this is actually the main aspect of our central problem of an economy, that what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. So let's discuss them. What to produce. Okay. So the first problem is what to produce. Now resources have alternative uses and we need to make a choice in selecting between alternative uses, and by selecting this alternative use we will make up our mind in selecting that which one to be satisfied at first. And my dear students, let me tell you one simple fact, that we will satisfy those ones which are very essential to us, and hence there is a popular dialogue that guns or butters, guns or butter. So this is one of the popular dialogue by which we describe the what to produce situation, that whether we need to produce guns or we need to produce butter, and that exactly depends on this simple fact that which is very essential to us. If it is a normal situation, okay fine, we may produce butter, but if a war kind of situation is going on which is more essential, we need more of guns. So with that simple ideology, a famous quote has been put forward, that guns or butters, to describe this first problem what to produce. But this guns or butter is not only the situation that it's not only the what to say. This guns or butter is not only the problem. Not this guns thing or not the butter thing is the producing problem. We need to choose, or a nation or an economy need to choose in between so many other goods and services which are to be produced, and we will produce those things which are very much essential to us. So in the first stage we will list out all those items, all those goods and services which are very much essential to us, and we will put our scarce resources into production of those items which are listed in the first stage. That means which are most essential to us, we will try to produce first with our limited resources. So once we have decided that what we need to produce, we have listed out the items which are required to produce. Next we will go into that how to produce. Okay, fine, we have decided that we need this and that. Okay, fine, but how to produce it? So how to produce, basically it relates to choosing the technique of production. It relates to choosing the technique of production, and this technique of production is basically of two types. One is labor intensive and another is capital intensive. Now my dear students, by labor intensive technique, do not ever think that in labor intensive technique only labor is getting used, just only labor, and in capital intensive we use only capital. This is a totally wrong idea. Do not ever think like that. Whatever we want to produce, we need labor as well as we need capital also. Say for example, in labor intensive technique, the agricultural commodity. In agricultural commodities, we may require more number of farmers, we may require more number of laborers, but a lesser amount of capital. The tractors which are required to do the cultivation work is, we may need only one tractor, but at the same time we may need 5 or 6 or 10 laborers to work in a paddy field. So labor intensive technique is that technique where use of labor, I am just writing in short, LL, okay, just to simplify, use of labor is more than the use of cap. Cap means the capital. Actually, I am just writing in short, don't get confused. So labor intensive technique of production is that technique of production where use of labor is more than the use of capital, and capital intensive technique is exactly opposite to this, where use of cap is more than use of labor. Say for example, what to say, a computer production hub. In a computer production hub, you will find lots of machineries, but compared to those machineries, the number of workers are very much limited. Or take example of a printing press. In a printing press, there so many machines doing constant printing, but you may find 3 or 5 or 10 workers who are just cleaning the area and maintaining everything, and there is someone who is just pressing a switch and the printing gets started. So they do not need so much labor, they need only few amount of labor to do this daily business I want to mean daily maintenance kind of thing on all sorts of daily work. But the main work is basically done by those big machines. So in capital intensive technique, the use of capital is basically more than the use of labor. Say for example, a production of fan, production of light, production of mobile, production of computer, or a printing press maybe. Or in all those areas you will find that use of capital is more than the use of labor. And exact opposite scenario is in the labor intensive technique, where use of labor is more than the use of capital. For example, handloom items or the agricultural commodities, fishery, animal husbandry, in all sorts of this we need more amount of labor and lesser amount of capital. So in the second stage, in the second problem is basically we need to choose which technique of production is basically suited for the particular economy. And all these things we will discuss in a more elaborate way in our next videos. Just for now, get this simple understanding that central problem and this economic problem, the problem of choice, is more or less are interconnected items. That since human words are unlimited and resources are limited, we cannot have all we want, and this problem is faced by all the economies, which is called the central problem of an economy. And Professor Samuelson has defined it as what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. And what to produce problem, we will first find out that which commodities are very much essential, and we will select all those items which are required to produce. And one popular dilemma is that guns or butter. A popular dialogue, sorry, not dilemma. A popular dialogue is that guns or butter. With that simple dialogue, we basically try to describe this what to problem, that whether we should produce guns or we should produce butter. And we will produce that thing which is very essential to us. If it is a war situation, we will go on with these guns, otherwise we will go with this butter. And this guns or butter is not only the only problem. An economy need to choose in between so many other production of so many other goods and services. And when the idea of production comes, next problem, a question comes that how to produce. Okay, fine, we have listed this guns or butter wala thing, and now what to do with this? What to do with the how to problem? How to produce situation. Which technique should we? Whether we should labor intensive technique or we should go for the capital intensive technique. And finally, at the same time, another problem is coming up that okay, fine, we will be producing this and that, and maybe we have selected one of either of this, maybe labor intensive technique or capital intensive technique. But for whom we will produce, and for whom we will produce, it basically relates to the problem of distribution. It relates to problem of distribution. And there was someone who is called Karl Marx. He has given an idea that when the problem of distribution comes, we will distribute in a way that how much a person has contributed into the production process. If I contribute a certain particular amount, I will be getting a weightage of that particular amount, or more or less the same contribution. Whatever I have contributed, I should get on the basis of my contribution. So this is all, my dear students, for today's video. I hope you have learned all these concepts very smoothly, or if you find any problem, feel free to comment below on this video, and well, stay safe. We will meet in our next video.